History and culture are inseparable. The former conveys to a people a sense of where they have been, and the latter conveys a sense of where they are. It can also be said that the history and culture of any people are essential to their holistic development. Today, it is imperative that the history and culture of our ancestors be shared with generations to ensure their successful transition from childhood to adulthood. In this way, they will become proud contributors to the further development of this nation.
Mr. Gray allegedly owned all the properties in this settlement. And if you wanted a piece of property, a plot of land like they would say, you were instructed to see Mr. Gray. And they'll say, you want a piece of property? See Gray, see Gray. And so that grew into see Gray. That's how I understand it to have got this name.
In 1944, the Apical Lumber Company was moved to Grand Bahama, establishing their headquarters at a place called Pine Ridge. The termination of work by the Apical Lumber Company gave birth to the community of Sea Grape. This quaint settlement was predominantly Turks and Caicos Islanders and their descendants.
Sea Grape was formed in 1957. I came to Sea Grape in 1959. I met families like Sam Saunders, Sir Christy Ferguson, Cornelius Lightman, Philane Lightman, Lee Pan, Bali, Debo, Sam Basin, Leslie Kwan, Sam Henson, Dimitri Frith. These were the families who was in Pine Ridge, what was known as Pine Ridge. The official name of the company was Apical Lumber Company. When they sold out to a company called National Containers, part of the men that were working in Pine Ridge, they moved down to Sea Grape. It was moved there by the Port Authority. All of the houses in Sea Grape at that time was moved there by a man, Dimitri Frith. He had the contract to move the houses from Pine Ridge to Sea Grape. They was exported there by trailer and set up in the various families, in the various lots that they had in Sea Grape at the time. And Sea Grape at the time, they didn't have any running water. We didn't have any power, or electric light if you want to call it that. These efficiencies come years later. For water, we had what is called a pitcher pump, which is jogging on well. For lighting, some people use lamps, some people use lanterns. As for the road was put there by a man from Apical named Lawrence Lang. Power and light, the man responsible for that is Enoch Lightman, who still lives in Sea Grape.
I happen to have a little diesel generator of my own, and I also had a remote control generator that you could turn it on from the switch in the house until the power company started to get power, the government and the power company decided to put power through the island. So I was some of the third or fourth, I think, in Sea Grape to have my own power.
The majority of the female residents were offered housekeeping jobs in Freeport.
I come to live in Sea Grape in 1959. We used to have to go to Freeport to bed work before the hotels came. We had to work with the investors before they went to support our children. And the only transportation to go to work then was the bus called Mr. Reed's bus. And Howard was the driver. And don't care where you work, when it come towards 6 o'clock, you gotta leave because you don't got no transportation to get home. And also the women used to live by the man paying £3.10 a week for their grocery. Used to have 5 and 6 men to cook for, and they pay £3.10 and they come pick up their bags in the morning to go to work in the morning. In the afternoon they come for their food. But now that cut up, that don't happen no more.
Through the years of farming, sewing, construction, cooking, baking, and working on the chicken farm served as a common employment for families and the livelihood of the community.
In the old days, as it relates to the chicken farm or housekeeping or people that did work, those kids who lived near the chicken farm, we considered privileged because they were near to an exciting activity. Chicken to eggs, eggs to chicken, the collection, the delivery, and so forth.
I was one of the first person being called Garley, wake on the chicken farm. My sister Gertrude went there too. Picking chicken at 1 shilling for 1 chicken. And many days when I picked the chicken and I reached up to 60 chickens, my boss man used to tell me stop. Say let somebody else get something in, a couple of shillings in. Because when I was up to 60, somehow I used to be up to 12 and 15. I come and see Grape and meet. Secret people was friendly, you could sleep most with your house open. And you could go many times when I didn't have some sugar or anything, I used to go to my neighbor and ask her, give me some sugar or give me some rice. And sometimes if she ran out of things, she always gonna come to me. That's how me and Miss Abden Williams used to live. And Secret Dan, if you meet a child on the road and you know the mother of that child, you could spank that child and send it home and wouldn't be no problem. But you can't do that today.
Miss Fairlane Lightman Smith. I met her in Pine Ridge and get to know that my mother and them were family. She used to fix lunch or breakfast for the people who used to work in the woods. And that's where this bread business come from. When she come into Seagrape, she brought that with her. And she started that in Seagrape and she was very good at it. And that's how the people get to name that Fairlane bread. The coconut tarts and the pastries and different things and so forth like that. That's how she did that. That's how I get to know her.
The relocation of residents to Seagrape further cemented their love and abiding faith. They were hardworking. They made time to praise and worship their God. This was obvious because when the church doors were open, the streets were empty. This strong love to pursue the Word of God was the driving force behind 3 churches being established in the community.
In Seagrape at the time, they had First Church. Was a building that came from Pine Ridge for a man called Lionel Douglas, but we used to call him Zeke. Today it's known as the Church of God.
This existing building behind me came about in '69. Prior to this building being constructed, there was a wooden building to my left that came from the Pine Ridge area. And most of the founding members of that particular church here in Seagrape were Bishop Lionel Douglas. He was the first pastor of the wooden church, and then we had pastors like Arnold Williams, David O'Dane, Frank Williams, Pastor Joseph Taylor, Pastor Bishop Rudolph Arthur, and now myself. Some of the programs that the Church of God of Prophecy have been a part of in the past, initially in the community of Seagrape, we had something that was known as the Gleaner Band. That was responsible for the little children, teaching them the Word of God and making sure that they adhere to the rules and regulations of the Word of God and of the church. And that serves as a footnote to them becoming rooted and grounded in the community, and also the Sunday school department. Well, we know the Sunday school department still exists today, and we had a lot of outreach, which we call the youth, we call it VLB at the time, Victory Leaders Band. That was to cater more to the adults, those of ages 12 and up to probably 30, 35, and we would train them in knowing the Lord and the ways of the Lord, because the Bible declared, and all thy children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of thy children. And so they played an intricate part in grooming and teaching the young people of the community so that they could become better members and citizens of the community.
The Methodist Church started after a man called David Martin. He was one of the captains that came here to form the Freeport Buckring Company. He was a pilot, but he was also a Methodist minister. He inquired of the man that they had out there working for the company at the time about people who were Methodists. Methodists in Seagrape used to congregate in a clapboard building owned by a woman we used to call Fan. And they used to call this building Fan Large Hall. But after Cap Martin came down, Cap Martin acquired the land and the material for the church in Seagrape.
David's really came about when the Mr. David Martin was asked to lead the congregation, and so the Reverend Makepeace, who was the chairman of the district at the time, invited Mr. Martin to lead the congregation, and they moved down into Seagrape in June of 1959. But St. David's itself the building really was established in October of 1960. And so it was about 22 members that started the church, and they were mainly Turks Islanders. So you had people like Ms. Alma Tucker Russell, Mr. Ferguson up on the hill, and you had Mr. Ben Williams and Miss Letty, persons like those who really started the church. We go all the way back from its establishment. St. David's has been very active here in the community of Seagrape, starting with Reverend Seymour, who really helped to establish the Boys Brigade. And so the Boys Brigade has been in existence here at St. David's for over some 45 years. And then we have persons like Edmund Dames who carries on the work. But after Reverend Seymour would have left, and so the church voted to have Mr. Hillgrove Hamilton, who is now deceased, but Reverend Hamilton came in 1978 and he led the church. And so after Reverend Hamilton, we would have had Reverend Stubbs. And so they all worked closely with the Boys Brigade.
The last church to be established in the community was the Baptist Church, later named the Mount Calvary Baptist Church by Reverend Timothy Dean. Services were held in the Lodge Hall, adjacent to the Church of God of Prophecy. Several years later, a wooden sanctuary was erected in the backyard of Mr. Arthur Stubbs, and later moved to the grounds that was once the community cemetery.
There's a gentleman, the only living survivor of the founding members by the name of Reverend James Gray. He was a missionary. He felt that was his calling. He was one who held street meetings, particularly in Seagrape, on the corner by the Church God of Prophecy. And he eventually got in with Miss Frances Stubbs to form a Baptist congregation. And so from there, like I said, we came here where we now are situated, just adjacent to this building. We had another wooden building. Actually, we bought a building across the street, and there we worshiped until 1968, when this building was constructed. In 1961, late 60 to 61, Evangelist Whitfield Mullings, he was selected to become the pioneer pastor of this local church.
Reverend Mullings believed in catering to the whole man. The church's ministries included young people meetings, junior choir, Sunday school, and women's mission. Attached to Mount Calvary was the 2nd Company of the Girls Brigade in Grand Bahama.
The Girls Brigade used to meet to the Baptist Church and Seagrape. It was the clapboard church, but not the new church, not the stone building church. And we had about 25 or 30 girls. All of them belonged right in Seagrape. And they just well behaved because we have well behaved girls. They learned to learned sewing, and they used to crochet, teach them how to crochet, and member voices and things like that. And we have children that grow up there who was able to live lives that people you could take after.
Indeed, the residents of Seagrape found time for leisure and entertainment. Although for the most of them, entertainment was primarily playing dominoes. They often found themselves grooving to the sound of rake and scrape or dancing the night away in one of the many nightclubs.
The first club or the bar in Seagrape was owned by Canadian sniper and James Williams. Those two have a fallen out. So James built his own building and he opened a bar or club. The bar which is presently known now as Jones Bar, was not a bar. That was a social club. And they used to pick and choose who members join. But after about some time, Jones turned the club over to his son Fred, and he got a license for it. Later on, they had a man they called Big Knight. Sammy Havon was his name. He formed a club. And the last one to form it there was Joe Bain. Joe Bain opened out a small little bar there also. That was the club situation at Seagrape at the time.
I used to have my own parties mostly in the back there because I used to sell 30 days. And everybody who used to drink, most is my friends, they used to come to the back there. And when they get hot, they dance and talk, and I used to like that.
I think entertainment was seen out of different eyes. If you were a child, you went to Sunday school. If you were a part of the program, you could do a recitation, you knew your memory verse, and you could be a part of a church concert or a play or activity. That was your social entertainment. Shooting marbles, hopscotch, spinning top. Certainly no electronic toys or iPhones, smartphones, electronical play, but just physical sports in the streets and hanging around. My greatest source of entertainment, as I remember, was Stevie Dean, who's now and the top rank of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and Jimmy Smith, who's become the chief consular here in 8 Mile Rock. It was just being your jockey shorts, what we call a singlet at the time, taking a bath, putting on your powder, and having skates or running around, peeping into Joe Bain's club and just playing. Being in the yard and being able to play and interact with each other, the greatest source of entertainment, separate and apart from the church.
It was a good experience growing up in Sea Grape. We shoot marbles, we made box cards, we made motorcycles with the skate, the wheels from the skates. We used the clothes hanger with the bicycle wheels, ribs, and we used to play with that. And, you know, having a bicycle was something special. We made our own tops. But we used to make those sailing boats as well from Kamalame Tree. And we used to go in the back seat, the back there, and we used to sail them as well. So we were very creative. We built our own doll houses, our tree houses, all that kind of stuff. We were very creative as young people growing up in Sea Grape.
Donovan played an intricate role in my life because growing up, he would take his monies, and he thought it not robbery to, you know, to invest in the young men here in Sea Grape. And we would go and we would play tournaments. We had the best uniforms that money could buy. And the community was knitted together because there was a brotherhood.
The team that we started in 1978, Stevie Daines, Jimmy Smith, Garber, Dunmouty, Pastor Dwight Jennings, it's just a lot of fellas. We went to play in the YMCA, and we got beat by a team by the name of Tommy Truckers. They beat us by 64 points. And remember when we were walking out the gym, they told us to go back to Bohog City and don't you ever come back here because y'all cannot play basketball. I remember we came back, sat at half court, it was a court in Sea Grape, and we made a decision then that will never happen again. And I think that's when we came together as a team. And as fate will have it, we played that same team for the championship, and we blew them out. And I think that a lot of those fellas still carry that in their lives today, that you don't give up, no matter what people say about you. Don't let people determine the future. If you work hard enough, you can achieve a lot. That was my defining moment as a coach for the Sea Grape Saints. I was raised by the community of Sea Grape. Whenever my mother go to work, people would always look out for me. My mother didn't have to worry about me. And I don't have the time to tell you the stories, the whooping I get to go home whenever I stepped out of line. And I think that's why I always have this, I will always have this love for Sea Grape, because of Sea Grape is who I am today. I'm a proud Sea Grapean, as we call ourselves. I am what I am today, and I am where I am today because of the community of Sea Grape and the people who came ahead of me.
We were raised to be industrious and hardworking. And so, you know, we didn't have refrigerators back in the day, but we ate fresh fruits and vegetables. We grew everything, even down to our peanuts. I remember growing peanuts in Sea Grape. I remember growing the grapes we get at the food store, the American grapes, we actually grew them in Sea Grape. You know, our nickname, Bohog City, right in the back from the church, we had like thousands of pig pens. We would grow all kind of hogs, man. Every week someone slaughtered a hog. And so they gave Sea Grape that name, Bohog City. But it was a very tightly knitted, clean, crime-free society. And we went out and left our doors open, unlocked. And those were the good old days, as I knew it growing up, as a little boy in Sea Grape.
No matter where we go, no matter what we do, we're stuck with the legacy, the legend, and the love of Sea Grape.
Until today, the community of Sea Grape remains a thriving one. Our culture is made up of the architecture of our buildings and landscapes. It is preserved through pictures and oral traditions. We reminisce about our history around the dinner table, during our religious gatherings, and during our time of work. This is because our heritage, our culture, is not only in the things that we can touch and see, but it is in the indomitable spirit of a closely knitted people. Therefore, it is incumbent upon us to recognize that history continues, and therefore we must value our culture and learn to enjoy it and pass it on.